Yeah, I mean, like, it's a really good story. It's been around for like 20 years. A lot of people have a hard time getting into it because, you know, it's so long, it seems kind of daunting. Personally, I would just start reading at volume 80 because a character shows up at the end of this volume. Her name's Carrot, and she's a bunny, and she's like the best character ever. So, I mean, there's really no point in reading anything before that. I mean, so, yeah, just pick it up from here and you should be good, all right? All right, I'm glad I could help you out. Hey, everybody, how you doing? A bit of a delay with the chapter this week. There was some inclement weather over in Japan, and I hear that was the thing that caused the delay for the chapter. But we're here today, One Piece Chapter 952, titled Hiyori and Kawamatsu. I wonder if this is going to be the chapter where they're reunited. I couldn't see that coming a mile away. But no, okay, so we get the cover page. You know, get into it. It's already been a delay. Oh, by the way, this is Barry. He's my intern. This is the last video for his contract, so we'll see where it goes from here, all right? You better pull your weight. I don't know. Your performance up until now has been kind of on the fence, Barry. All right, so cover page. We got the continuation of the Fire Take Pirates adventure to go find Chiffon's sister Lola. All right, whatever. Maybe not one of the most exciting setups for a cover series, but, you know, we're getting there. All right, so in this one, it's just Beiji, you know, hears the plight of his dear wife, and he's like, you know, the wishes of my beloved are my wishes as well. Say whatever you want about Beiji. You know, he's a crime boss from the West Blue. He's caused a lot of suffering over the years, but, you know, he is a good husbando, okay? He cares about his waifu, and they go and sail off. They change course with their cupcake tart ship, and they're like, all right, we're gonna go find your sister. No idea where she's at. She's in Water 7, but they don't know that. No idea where she's at, but let's head on and try to find her. I'm actually kind of interested. Like, are they gonna go all the way back to Paradise to see Lola? Or maybe Lola might be traveling back to the New World. Maybe Lola left Water 7 with the Rolling Pirates and was like, hey, let's go back to Totland. Maybe Big Mom has forgiven me by now. You know, because I'll say this, the way that Lola talked about her mama to Nami back at Thriller Bark when she gave her the Vivra card for Big Mom, you know, the way she talked about it was like, oh yeah, my mama's a really strong pirate. She didn't really seem like she was concerned that Big Mom would be upset with her, or they, you know, she would try to attack Nami. You know, from Lola's perspective, it's just like, oh yeah, you know, I left a few years ago, but, you know, she probably got over that by now. Here you go, look her up. She's really awesome. So, I don't know, Lola might be naive enough to think Big Mom forgave her and might just be heading back to the New World. I think that would make a lot more sense for them to bump into each other rather than Beiji's crew going all the way back to Paradise, okay? So, we continue. We're in the next day of Wano, which means we're about 7 days out from the rebellion, from the Fire Festival. We got 1 week, all right? So, we're making steady progress so far. A few chapters equals 1 day. In manga terms, that's pretty good. So we cut back over to the Ringo region. That's the wintry, snowy realm of Wano, where we cut over to the Bandit Bridge. All right, so this is the place where Gyukimaru guards. Zoro, of course, needs to get his Shusui back that Gyukimaru stole. Well, didn't really steal. You really can't say it's stealing, okay? This blade was originally entombed in Wano with the sword god Ryuma, where it rested for about 4 centuries until about 23 years ago when Moria came to the island and stole it. So, I mean, like, I would say it is Zoro's sword. I mean, Ryuma himself gave it to Zoro. And it's not like Ryuma said anything like, Zoro, take this blade and return it to my resting place. You know, it's nothing like that. It's like Ryuma was bested in a battle, and he's like, all right, here, you deserve this. Take my sword, right? Now, whatever Zoro decides to do with it by the end of Wano, I think a jury is still out that he might honestly just return it. I'm not saying it's impossible for him to do that. I mean, he might always get another sword. Another way I've heard a lot of people talking about this is because it's a black blade that Ryuma created, not Zoro, it might serve as a good guide or inspiration for Zoro to turn his own blades into black blades. But he himself might not want to keep this because it wasn't, you know, crafted by himself. It wasn't his hockey that turned it into a Kokuto. All right, so maybe that's an angle you could take it. But I don't know. I mean, the other angle to take it is like, no, he won it fair and square. It's his sword. But Gyukimaru took Shusui, returned it to Ryuma's tomb. We don't know exactly where Ryuma's tomb is located, but it's somewhere beyond the bandit bridge, and Gyukimaru won't let anybody pass it, so Zoro has to deal with him first. Now, the last time they had a fight, it was uninterrupted by Killer, who was Kamazo at the time, and, you know, Zoro had to deal with fighting like 2 people at once. This time, of course, Zoro is recovered, he's healed up, and now he's going up against Gyukimaru directly. So, Gyukimaru's a strong dude, he's like a warrior, battle monk, you know, he's got all these blades, he's based off of the 7-weapon bandit, so, you know, he's got some skills, but Zoro's just got more, and we start off the chapter with basically Zoro just overpowering Gyukimaru, to the point where Gyukimaru's fighting him, and he's like, who are you even? Are you friend? Are you foe? No! And then Zoro just knocks him down. It doesn't really seem like Zoro exerted himself all that much. So Gyukimaru is lying on the snow, and Zoro is basically just like, dude, just give me back my sword. Like, seriously, like, I'm not trying to kill you here. Don't throw your, I mean, I will if you keep getting in my way, you know? I want my sword back. I use Santoryu 3-sword style. That's kind of my thing. So Zoro just tells him, don't throw your life away for one single blade. And that line of reasoning, I mean, Zoro would, I think if it was the Wado Ichimonji, Zoro would definitely put his life on the line if someone stole his Wado, and, you know, Zoro had to fight to the death over that blade. Even if Zoro did die in that fight, he would do that, because that blade has incredible significance to him. So it's a little bit weird that Zoro would say, you know, don't throw your life away for a single blade. However, Zoro is unaware of the significance of Shusui, not just to Gyukimaru, but also the entire country. Remember, and I didn't even think about this at the time, so we already knew that Ryuma was referred to as the Sword God. Alright, that is a title you don't just get lightly. This is a land filled with ridiculously strong samurai. I'm assuming the samurai a few centuries ago might be even stronger than the ones that currently exist, right? Because of the whole issue with Orochi and the starvation and all that crap, okay? But even so, out of that batch of incredibly strong samurai, you get the title of Sword God. You know, that's the person that you are going to revere above all else, okay? And so, about 23 years ago, that's when Moria went into Wano. We don't exactly know the whole, you know, story behind that, exactly how he got in or what he did and all that stuff, but we know Moria got into the country and grave robbed Ryuma's corpse and his sword, and then got out of there and then went back to Thriller Bark and reanimated later as a general zombie. But that was only 3 years before Kaido and Orochi came to the island. So, from the perspective of a lot of people, Gyukimaru particularly, because he's a monk, he's a religious person, 3 years after our sacred sword god and his blade were stolen, absolute ruin and devastation and omens just descended on this land. We had a dragon god show up out of nowhere and just torch the capital, or like torch Curry Castle anyway. They left the capital, of course, but then you have Orochi taking over, and then you have all the forest getting wiped out, and the country is just in a state of just abject turmoil and all this crap. And from Gyukimaru's perspective, you know, it was all because our sword god's blade was stolen from us. Now, of course, you know, that's we know that Moria has a connection with Kaido, and Kaido has a connection to Wano. So yeah, there is probably something there to go along with maybe Moria and Kaido. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Oda circles this back with, like, I don't know, somehow Moria stealing the Shusui led to Kaido finding out about Wano and attacking it. I don't know if it's going to go down that road with it. I'm just saying, yeah, Moria was inspired to be a pirate at Goldie Roger's execution 24 years ago. We see him in the execution grounds, you know, in Logtown. Then, a year later, Moria's in the New World in Wano, grave robbing Shusui. So, and then 3 years later, Kaido shows up. So, there might be some connection there. I don't know. But, yeah, so that's basically why Gyukimaru's not giving it up. You know, he's never gonna give Shusui up, never gonna let Ryuma down, never gonna run or hide in Ringo. I don't know why I'm still singing, I was just gonna do a bit, but I got the damn song stuck in my head. You know, it's been a while since we rickrolled. You know, I think there's gonna be a time when memes just kind of circle back, you know, and so, and like, you know, rickrolling was really big back in like, I think 08, 09, you know, so right around now is when rickrolling is gonna be brought back. It's gonna be Neo-Rick rolling. What do you feel about that, Barry? Okay, all right, that was good. That might be, all right, you're tilting the scale here. All right, so, yeah, point is, he's not going to give back Shusui, all right? Zoro's going to have to end his life in order to get Shusui back, and he doesn't really want to do that, right? So, meanwhile, while this is going on, while they're clashing, Hiyori is in the background, kind of just observing everything, you know, just watching the battle from a safe distance, and then all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, a freaking Kappa just shoots through the snow with his blade and goes to attack Zoro, and Zoro just kind of, it was actually a really cool scene where Zoro is like, he's facing Gyukimaru, like fighting him, and then Kawamatsu just comes rocketing up behind him, and Zoro's just like, he doesn't even kind of turn his entire body back, he just takes his sword and does this, and like moves a little bit out of the way, and Kawamatsu Satsuma just comes out and just clashes with Zoro's blade like, whoa, ching! Who are you now? You know, and when Zoro first spots Kawamatsu, he immediately thinks, or immediately says, you know, oh, he's a fishman. All right, so is he a fishman? I mean, it's still like, what the hell he is. Like, is there going to be like a yokai species in Wano? If that's the case, then he could just be a legit Kappa. He can't be a devil fruit user because we've seen him swim. So, you know, mink, I don't really see the mink possibility there, you know, because a Kappa, that's like an amphibious kind of creature. We don't really get to see amphibians on Zou. So, fishman, yeah, I'd be okay with that. I'd be alright with him being a fishman. I would go with the yokai species, like Oda introducing, like there are Tengus and yokai and Oni and like legit like Hanya demons and Yuki Onna wandering around Wano. That would just be cool for aesthetic purposes, but just a regular old fishman, I guess that would make sense too, right? So, Kawamatsu's there. Of course, he left the prison, and he's like, I have to do something. Thank you, Raizo, for freeing me and all that stuff. I helped you out, but I have to go do something. And I think we could all figure that he's going to continue the duty that he was given by Lady Toki. When Lady Toki sent everybody into the future, except for Hiyori, he also stayed behind in order to protect her, okay? And Lady Toki's probably like last order to Kawamatsu is keep Hiyori safe. And so they left, and for about 7 years they stayed together, and then some incident happened and they got separated. Kawamatsu got thrown in Udon for the next 13 years until he was freed, and then Hiyori went to become Komurasaki, the great courtesan of Wano. So we find out basically how this happened here. We find out at the end of the chapter the reason, but I'll just say it now, because it's nothing crazy, like earth-shattering what happened to them. We still might get a flashback at some point, you know, the exact details of how it happened, but from the way Hiyori speaks about it, she, you know, was being guarded by Kawamatsu for all those years. Kawamatsu was foraging for food. They had to make really, you know, certain that nobody would spot them or anything. So any amount of food that he got, he would just give over to Hiyori. And over the years, however many times that Kawamatsu said he was okay, and he does the Kappa dance and just tries to cheer Hiyori up, he apparently got a lot more, like, thin and, like, emaciated because he wasn't eating very much. And Hiyori eventually got to the point after, like, 7 years where it's like she couldn't stand that anymore, and she just ran away because she knew that Kawamatsu, on his own, he would be perfectly fine, but he had to make sure to stay hidden and forage for food so Hiyori could grow up big and strong. And so that's the reason she ran away. Now, I'm assuming probably what happened here, she ran away, Kawamatsu ran after her trying to find her, and that's when he got found out by Orochi's men, when he was in the process of looking probably maybe into the flower capital, like, Lady Hori, where you are? And then the samurai showed up, or the Onibawan spotted him or something, and then he got thrown into Udon. I'm assuming that's probably what happened. So yeah, it's all good now though, because in the prison system in Wano, apparently they fed him rather well. They kept feeding him poisonous fish all day, but I guess they were high in calories because Kawamatsu is just like, well, I'm back to being all fat now, so we're all good, aren't you? You know, we're all good and now Hiyori. So yeah, that's the little story with them. Like I said, we don't find that out until the end of the chapter, but you know, it's not that big of a deal. So for right now though, we now cut back over to Onigashima, where Big Mom and Kaido are just going at it. You know, they're just wrecking the place. All of the beast pirates are on like the basement floor, like in their emergency sex bunker, and they're just like watching as the roof is just boom, boom, boom. Rocks are falling down. And you know what the most hilarious thing of this whole thing is? We see one panel, well I guess two panels, because it's one panel is nothing but Big Mom's face, and one panel is nothing but Kaido's face. Like, mama, mama, yeah! And that's all we see. We don't actually see their bodies, like we don't see what they're physically doing, we just see their faces. So, I don't know if Oda is in on the joke as well, like if he's like watching like, you know, the reviews on the internet or reading things, like all the jokes that are out there, like, you know, Big Mom and Kaido are gonna be getting it on. But he seems to be like lending it at least that you could make that joke in this chapter, where you just see the Beast Pirates and Queen just like in the basement, just kind of like boom, boom, like... Are they gonna be done anytime soon? They've been doing it all night. I even think that's one of the lines, you know, just like they've been at it through the night. This island won't hold together. It's too rough. Okay. So, feel free to make all the jokes you want. You know, they're like, oh my god, the clash of hockey up there is incredible. Boom! Okay, now it's even funnier, I'm just kidding, that's not even close to being as funny, but something else that is pretty funny is Queen is down there trying to, like, inspire all of the Beast Pirates. He's like, what are you sniveling cowards doing? Your boss is up there fighting and you want to abandon Onigashima in its time of need? It's our responsibility as the members of the Beast Pirates to stand firm when Kaido is getting his groove on up there. And however, though, he's also like, by the way, I think I should probably get back to Udon. Has anyone heard back from Udon prison? No, sir, we haven't heard anything. Oh, okay, I should probably head over. And everyone's like, you're just looking for an excuse to get the hell out of here, just like all of us. It's just, we're honest about it. We're like, dude, we don't want to get crushed. It looks like the freaking ceiling's just gonna cave in any time. And Queen's like, yeah, well, you know, I have a job to do. So, eventually, they receive a transmission from Udon. Like, yeah, they receive, and it's Baba Nuki. The guy that had, like, a giant cannonball of the mummy virus just explode inside of him. That dude. So, I'll be honest with you, when he gets a transmission from Baba Nuki, I was sitting there reading this, and I'm like, there's no way that dude is still alive after the damage he took. Like, there's no way. This has to be, like, honestly, I thought they were gonna cut back to, like, either, like, Raizo or somebody that has really good, like, has the ability to, like, mimic somebody's voice. Raizo's a ninja, so I figured that might be a skill that he might have, the ability to mimic somebody's voice that we just never heard about before. Or I was even thinking, like, Caribou. Like, Caribou had a secret talent that nobody knew about. He could mimic people's voices. And just, like, I would have been okay with that, you know, whatever. I even thought, and it's like all these thoughts just swam into my mind at the same time. What if Caribou could absorb Baba Nuki's body and then, like, turn into him because he's, like, the mud human? I know we've never seen him do anything even close to that before, but I was like, there's no way that dude is still alive. But anyway, Baba Nuki comes on the transponder snail, or the schmail, or whatever it's called in Wano, you know, the little stick snails or whatever, and he's like, yeah, this is Baba Nuki reporting from Udon, and Queen is still doing the whole act. He's like, oh yes, Baba Nuki, hey, you need some help over there? I think you need some help over there. You know, we can spare a few soldiers. You know what? Tell you what, I'll just come personally. And everyone's in the background like, Queen, come on, man! You know, like, don't leave us alone. Come on, take us with you at least, you know. And so Queen's like, how about some juice? You know what? I think the fridge in the guard station was out of juice and eggs. Tell you what, I'll go to the grocery store personally. I'll pick them up and I'll bring them back to Udon. You know, I feel like a good hearty breakfast is important for all the prison guards and the headliners stationed there. I will personally make my world famous Queen omelet, so I'll come right over. you know? But Babanuki's like, no, don't worry about it. Kid and Killer and Luffy and Raizo, every single person that caused trouble, back in their cells, they're sleeping like babies. We tranked them all. No problems, actually. It's just back to normal day here at Udon, so don't worry about it. And so Queen keeps pressing it a little bit, but eventually Babanuki's like, nope, everything's cool. And Queen believes him, so it's just like, oh, okay then, I guess we're good. You still want me to come over? I still can. He's like, no, we're good. Click. So, now, even with that call, Queen might still go. Queen might be like, you know what, you know what? I did my laundry in Udon yesterday, and I forgot to clean out the lint trap. I better head back to Udon. I better get out of here, guys. You guys have fun. Boom, boom, mama, boom, boom. All right, I'm out of here. Bye, guys. You know, so Queen might still very well just head back anyway. Like, so I left some quarters in my other, trousers. I'm gonna head back and grab them. So we cut back over to the Udon mine, where Babanuki is alive. He's all bandaged up and all that, but the elephant is still alive, he's still alive. Look, he's not really an important character, so I'm not gonna go into a huge tirade, but like, you saw what those bullets did, right? You saw those little tiny mummy virus bullets. If you just get shot with one of those things, you instantly run like 110-degree fever, and you just start like, catching on fire and hemorrhaging blood and passing out and getting all shriveled up. Now, Chopper does indeed develop a cure for it, and to his credit, he even says it wasn't even that hard to make a cure to this particular virus. So, okay, that's fine. We all knew Chopper was a medical genius. I figured he was going to make a cure to it. I'm sure they weren't just all going to die here, you know? But like, Babanuki took such a high... It was a cannonball filled with 200 of those little bullets that exploded like a buckshot effect, spreading over the area. And that thing detonated inside his body. This is like if you were to take an explosive, like a bunch of fireworks, and then load it up with the flesh-eating virus, and then just put it inside your stomach and pull the fuse. And it's like, well, it's okay, just bandage him up and just inject the cure and we'll be good. Like, okay, Oda, you're kind of stretching it a little bit with this dude, I have to admit. But I guess keeping him alive would be handy so you could relay back to Queen. Oh yeah, by the way, what's with that? How come he's working on their side now? Oh, because of the magic of an 8-year-old girl that can pull little kibi dongos out of her cheeks. That's why. So Tama's power comes back into fruition again. We all figured this was going to be a thing. Ever since we saw the effect on Speed, we knew that, okay, Otama's going to be kind of broken in this arc, ain't she? Now, to be fair, it doesn't work on everybody. She can't just take off a kibi dongo and just pop it into anybody's mouth and just make them follow her order. It has to be either an animal or someone that has the effect of a smile, because it's a zone, it's an artificial zone. I'm assuming they take like the process of making a zone, a smile is, taking the animal's spirit or whatever and throwing it into the fruit some way. So that's why it works on them. Now, with Speed, it really did seem like, oh yeah, with one kibi dongo, she'll obey Tama's every word. But with Babanuki here, it really does, we see the full effect of this. Like, Babanuki is a 100% team player now. He will do anything Tama commands. He's very docile. He's just like, oh, how is that, master? Did you like me when I, ordered my former boss I lied to his face and told him that everything was fine here so you guys could have a rebellion? Is there anything else I need to do? Do you guys want juice? Guys, get him some juice. We're out of juice. Damn it, we're out of juice. I'll go to the supermarket. I'll get some juice. That's what Babanuki is now. He went from 1 minute being this tough as nails warden, and now he's just a completely submissive, peasant before the might of Otama, So... I like to think that trick would not work on, like, King or Queen. Like, I really hope that's not all it takes. I really hope not all it takes to control a calamity is just for, like, her to take a kibi dongo and just toss it into Queen's mouth, and Queen is just like, I will obey you, Otama. Or Kaido, just pop a kibi dongo into Kaido's mouth and he'll obey everybody. Like, now... Okay, listen. With the effects that these dongos have on everybody they've tried them out on, it's possible that they might come up with that idea. Like, hey, how come we don't take one of these dongos and just force feed it to Kaido? I wonder what the effect that might have. They might still try that just because it seems like the natural thing to do. You know, like, it might work, it might not work, but we should at least try. Now, so trying is fine. If they want to, like, give one of these dongos to freaking Usopp and he takes his slingshot and fires it right into Kaido's mouth, that's fine if they try that. If it actually worked, that would be a completely other thing that I would be very upset by if it was that easy to take out Kaido, alright? So, there's gotta be a limit with this. Maybe anybody that has, like, Conqueror's Haki can resist it. Maybe it might be something like that, but there has to be a limit where they can't just, like, or only artificial zones work. So, Speed and Babanuki, of course, they have the artificial smiles. The other, like, animals she used them on were just regular animals, like the Koma Inu and the Baboon. Queen and King and Kaido, they don't have artificial devil fruits, they have regular old devil fruits. So, that might just be the reason there why it doesn't work. So, we'll see. Actually, I would say an easy way to test this would just be to give a Kibi Dongo to Chopper. Because Chopper is a regular zone, so giving it to him and see how he reacts. Now, I don't know if they would do that, because it's like, what if they do that and there's no way to resist the effects and Chopper never wants to leave Otama's side? So, yeah, but we need to figure this out. We need to figure out, like, how it works and, you know, if there's anybody that could be immune to it, even if they have animal powers. Smiles versus regular zones. We gotta see this, okay? So, yeah, Caribou is, like, lounging back and he's like, oh, yeah, everything's good now, guys, because of me, of course. We got thousands of samurai working under us, the prison's under our control, nobody's gonna come to check, we got Babanuki, the warden working for us. Babanuki gives like a thumbs up, anything for Otama. Like, yeah, sure. Raizo's off on the side, he's like, yes, Caribou, we are forever in your debt. And Caribou's like, ah, damn straight you're in my debt. Sorry, Barry, I didn't want to knock you over there. Damn straight you're in my debt. Oh, you're gonna pay me back for this one, let me tell you. I'm pretty awesome, right? So, we find the other members of the Yakuza, the bosses of the various regions. We figured this was going to happen next. We actually saw the outline of one of them whenever Big Mom burst into the second area of the Udon prison, like the blast furnace, like the ironworks kind of place. We saw that creepy dude with like the devilish smile. Yes, he was in fact one of the heads of the Yakuza. So we find out all of them here at once. The boss of the Udon region is Bloodletter Umasa. The boss of the Hakumai region is Broken Hat Sunagoro. That's the dude with the guy with the devilish smile there. The boss of the Ringo region, the only female in the group, because there's always got to be a sexy female in the group. We got Moonflower Ocho, because the O in front of the female names, and she's pretty sexy. She's got the hair in front of her eyes. That's like one of my things in anime. Girls that have like a hair like in front of their eyes so you don't see the one eye. I'm into that. I don't know if that's called something, but I'm way into that. And she's doing like the thing with her tongue, like, how you doing, guys? I'm like, okay, we're gonna like you. We're gonna like you. And then we have the boss of the Kibi region, Snake Eye Yatatapi, or Yatape. That might be the other way. Not Yatape might be the other way of saying that. Okay, so they're all Yakuza bosses, so their epithets are all similar to that. Like Bloodletter Umasa, he's probably the guy, like, you piss him off, you make his little Yakuza upset, he'll send you like a letter, you know, like a blood letter, like, we're coming to kick the shit out of you, or, you know, like, oh, here's a body part in the envelope, like, here's a finger, something like that.
Okay, so, probably a lot of you would have noticed this by now, and I just noticed it while I was editing this. The epithet bloodletter is probably not literally a letter filled with blood. Probably bloodletter, as in bloodletting Umasa. So, he probably just cuts a lot of people down. A lot of blood. Okay, that's probably where the epithet comes from. I was taking it a little bit too literally there. Oh, and also something else. Ocho, the only female in the group, the boss of the Ringo region. Cho is Japanese for butterfly, and I just noticed looking at her hair, it looks like a butterfly. Her hair has like, it's like sticking up like wings, and she even has little antennae coming out of the top of her head, which are probably like a headband or something. So I just wanted to also bring that up. But yeah, that's on me. Like, I look at that and like, Bloodletter Umasa. Oh, he must send bloody letters. Like, no, Matt, just bloodletting. I'm like, okay, yeah, I got that. That's ironically enough where this picture was from. Okay, well, thanks everybody. Back to it.
Broken Hat Tsunagoro, he got that because his hair kind of looks like a casa hat, but it's like the top of it's kind of bent, so that's probably where he got his epithet. Moonflower Ocho, maybe it's like she does most of her attacks at night and stuff. She's like a graceful moonflower, you know, when the moon is out in full in the Ringo region, as the snow falls softly, she appears and slices down all dissenters. Then we have the Snake Eye dude, Yatape. Snake Eye could refer to, I mean, it might refer to, like, actual snake eyes, or it could refer to gambling, because, you know, when you're, you know, going with dice, any game that involves dice, and you get 2 ones on 2 dice, it's snake eyes, which isn't usually very good. So, yeah, that might be a reference to gambling, because he's in the Yakuza, maybe he's just really bad at gambling. So, yeah, they're all, as Luffy puts it, they're all very colorful characters, and they have a reunion with Hyo, and they're like, Master Hyo, man, we didn't think you were still alive. Oh, by the way, keep in mind, this is something interesting. Hyo was the boss of the Yakuza in the Flower Capital, and then we had these 4 dudes, well, 3 dudes and 1 lady, that were all the heads of the different regions, but we don't see the Curry region represented here. That could maybe mean Ashura Doji, or Shutenmaru was the head of the Yakuza there back during Odin's time, or the Curry Yakuza leader died. Or maybe Curry didn't have a Yakuza because Odin didn't want one. I don't know exactly, but we only get the 4 regions plus the Flower Capital, who is Hyo, okay? So Luffy's laughing and is just like, oh, these guys are great, aren't they, Gramps? And because these guys are Yakuza, you don't make them mad. You don't, like, Luffy basically just, like, insulted their leaders. So Yakuza does what Yakuza do, and they freaking, like, turned at Luffy and grabbed him, and Tsunagoro takes out his blade like, hey, boss, what do you want us to do with this guy, this idiot? Want us to, like, stick this knife under his fingernails? And then Hyo's like, what are you guys doing? That boy saved my life. He's the one that caused all this. He's the reason you're freed right now. And it's like, oh, okay then. And they kind of, like, all sheath their blades, and they all kind of, like, give Luffy the stink eye, like, you made it out of this alive this time, Straw Hat. You know, okay, so, yeah, they're definitely going to be helpful there. Meanwhile, Raizo, after everything settles down, and, you know, by the way, Luffy is cured from the disease, from the virus, because of Chopper's cure. He's back in action 100%, like we figured he would be. There was actually some people that were asking me, like, because Luffy was ill with the virus, wouldn't that affect his Vivre card? Like, the Straw Hat Grand Fleet would notice Luffy's Vivre card is beginning to get smaller, and I think it would, but I don't think it would get that small to the point where they would need to go and rescue him, I think, because the Vivre card also recovers when you get better. So I think, like, maybe, like, Cavendish was looking at the card, and it was starting to get smaller as Luffy got the virus, and he's like, oh, that's not good. If it gets any smaller, we should probably go help. And then when Chopper cured him, it just like repaired itself. So, you know, they were all like, oh, okay. I'm sure Bartolomeo might have had a heart attack. Like, Luffy senpai, I'll be right to save you. And then halfway there, it goes back to normal. He's like, okay, Luffy senpai, I love you so much. Okay, everybody, we can go back on our adventure now. You know, so there's that. But Raizo is like, okay, I think I'm going to contact Kinemon now and let him know what the hell went down. So we now cut back over to Port Itachi in the Curry region. This is where Itachi went after his revival with the Edo Tensei, and he went back to the afterlife. Before going back to the pure world, Itachi decided to hang out in Wano for a little while. By the way, Itachi can just mean, it's like the name for the family of weasels and stuff in Japan. So it could literally mean weasel, or it could just mean, like, the family that the weasel belongs to, okay? So they're hanging out there. They're probably looking into fixing up all these boats, you know, like pulling them out of their freaking their dry docks and whatever. Okay, we need to start, you know, fixing these things up. You know, which ones can we use? Which ones are beyond saving? You know, which ones are rotted? And so Kinemon gets the call from Raizo. And this call is great because Raizo just went over to Udon just to save Luffy. And Raizo's like, okay, Kinemon, listen, lot of stuff happened. A lot of stuff. But suffice it to say, just give you the abridged version, Luffy's safe. Oh, that's good, Raizo. Yeah, hold on. I also found Kawamatsu. Oh, man, that's really good. Yeah, slow your roll. And we also took over the prison. We took out the guards because they're now under our control now because of a little 8-year-old girl that can control Dango. And, oh, by the way, yeah, we have 3,500 samurai that are working for us now. And we control the Yakuza. And we got a mud man that can, you know, hide an infinite number of weapons and provisions inside of himself. You still there, Kinemon? Yeah, I'm still here! What? How? Like, just... It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Don't question it. It's a good thing, okay? I'll explain it later. And Kinemon's like, okay, thank you. That's awesome! You know, like, so they got 3,500 samurai willing to fight for them now because everybody that was thrown in Udon, you know, was an enemy of Orochi, so it kind of ended up biting Orochi in the back there, where it's just like, Orochi takes all the dangerous people of Wano that he doesn't like, or he thinks that are gonna be a threat to his throne, and he tosses them all in Udon, and now they all got freed at once. That's why you gotta break up your prisons all over Wano, Orochi. You don't throw all the bosses of the Yakuza in one place, because then if they all break out at once, you're screwed. It's like Arkham Asylum in the Batman comics. It's like, yeah, let's take all of Batman's villains and throw them in just one building. They'll never break out of that, you know? You gotta break up the prisons, dude. You send like one Yakuza boss to a prison in Ringo, and then you send Hyo to Udon, and then you send the sexy Ocho chick from, you know, to the Hakumai prison or whatever. You gotta break this up all over the country, you know? Or you could just, you know, eliminate them right there. That would have been the smarter move for Orochi. I'm kind of curious why he didn't just order that. You know, like, oh, you used to be the boss of the Yakuza. Huh, yeah, old Hyo Goro. Yeah, you could be dangerous if I leave you alive. Execute him. You know, that would be the smarter move, but you didn't do that, and that's your mistake, Orochi, because that's going to come back to bite you. So this is something really cool. Oh, by the way, the blueprints to Kaido's mansion or castle or fortress or whatever you want to call it on Onigashima. Remember when Frankie was looking for those all over the country, and it was just like, oh yeah, I sold them to the pawn shop. And then Frankie runs over to the pawn shop. He's like, yeah, this kid with a weird eyebrow bought them. He runs over and says, hi. He's like, yeah, I sold them to old man Joe. He's like, oh yeah, I had those blueprints. I sold them over there to the lady that does my gardening, because she is just fabulous, you know, like, so that's what, and Frankie never ended up finding them, right? It turns out Shutenmaru had them the entire time. Ashura Doji had them. So he gives them over to Kinemon, and Kinemon's like, this is this is awesome, thank you so much. So we have access to the blueprints now to Onigashima, so that's kind of important. But also, something that Raizo brings up, kind of a big deal, and I'm really liking that they're delving into this kind of aspect, weapons. He's like, listen, we have manpower now, but, you know, we don't have any weapons to arm themselves with. There are plenty of factories in Wano that create weapons, but those are weapons for export. Those are like guns and things, and like gas weapons and stuff. Like, that's not the kind of weapons that the samurai are used to fighting with. We need swords, we need spears, we need armor, we need shields, we need that kind of stuff. And so Kinemon's like, oh yeah, that is kind of a big deal. All right, well, tell you what I'm gonna do. This is what Kinemon does. He hops on a giant chicken. That's the first thing he does, okay? Priorities. Hops on a giant chicken, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna head over to Amagasa. That's where my main base of operations is gonna be. I need to do a final head count with all that information you just gave me, like 3,500 samurai, and you got the Yakuza working for you now. It's just like, all right, I'm gonna do a final head count to see how many people we have working for us, because I think he said something like, we really need like 5,000 people strong in order to even hold a candle to Kaido, right? Like 5,000 would be ideal. Maybe more, but that would be ideal, right? So it's just like, all right, I'm gonna head back to Amagasa, get a final head count, and then I'll relay, we'll trade information, we'll figure out everything there, right? But the issue is there. And this makes sense because what they're doing is they're basically making their own revolutionary army for a rebellion, okay? This is a lot more complicated than just getting a bunch of guys together and being like, revolution, and then just charge the capital, okay? You're making an army. You need to figure out a way to arm everybody, to provide enough food and clean water and a base of operations and all these provisions that it takes when you're getting an army together, all right? In pre-modern warfare society, a lot of times armies could be wiped out not by enemy armies, but by starvation, dehydration, disease, sometimes a combination of all three, you know, marching from one place to another. I mean, this is a lot of hard work. They got to move 3,500 people from Udon. They got to get them out of there and like march to the flower capital or march to Onigashima. They're going to need food and stuff. Like, I'm assuming Oda's not going to go too into detail with that, but I like how he brings up, like, yeah, we need weapons to arm these people with, because right now, I mean, they're in Udon. They have the ironworks right there. They have like a blasting furnace and stuff. They could probably make some stuff, but that furnace, that area, that's used to making like guns and like other kinds of weapons that they're not used to. So I mean, I guess with some modifications they can make katanas and stuff, but that would just take too long. It would be easier just to use weapons they already have. Remember, Orochi put a ban on all weapons in Wano, so you can't just be walking around with like a katana unless you're a member of Orochi's entourage or you're a Yakuza or something like that under Kiyoshiro. You can't just be walking around with a katana. Unless you're Usopp Hachi only when you're presenting your toad oil wares. Then you're allowed to have a katana, apparently. But beyond that, no katanas allowed. So we're going to figure out where that goes. Hey, you know, actually, you know who might have weapons? It might be the dude hanging out in Ringo that literally steals everybody's weapons. Nah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know, Barry, that was a dumbass idea. Like, what the... Yeah, Buggy! Buggy might have weapons. They need to get in touch with Buggy. He'll set them all up. Buggy is going to sponsor this revolution, okay? That's the smart move. But no, yeah, Gyukimaru is going to be the place where they say, yeah, you need 3,500 katanas and 2,000 spears. Well, let me go check my back shed here. You know, just, it's like a giant underground warehouse where he just has all these weapons. So, yeah, that's the case there. We can kind of see where that's going. All right. So now we cut back over to Ringo for the final scene of the chapter. Some of this is stuff I already brought up, you know, like Kawamatsu and Hiyori are reunited, and they, you know, share their story with each other, like why Hiyori ran, and Kawamatsu forgives her, and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry for running away from you, and Kawamatsu's like, oh, it's okay, you did fine, and here we are now, hanging out by a bridge. You know, it's all good now, okay? So after that tearful reunion, Gyukimaru, he's about to get back up and say something to Kawamatsu when he gets shot. A bunch of members of the Beast Pirates are in the distance, you know, riding those giant lizards, and they got their guns and bazookas and everything, and they're like, Gyukimaru, give us back all those weapons you stole right now, because that's what Gyukimaru does. He steals people's katanas and everything. So they finally had enough of that, and just like, it seems like just a small little band of like waiters attack. They don't even seem to be like pleasures or anything, right? They're just like a bunch of random band of pirates from the Beast Pirates. So they're attacking, and Zoro and Kawamatsu just kind of look at each other, and they're like, get down, Hiyori. Okay. Shing, shing, shing. And so Zoro and Kawamatsu just go and just wipe these jokers out with no problem. However, in the process of this, Gyukimaru gets back up, and it seems like he just starts running away on the other side of the bridge. And as he's running away, Gyukimaru is like, well, see, here's the thing that doesn't make sense to me. I'm looking at this angle, and Zoro's like in front of the bridge, and Gyukimaru gets up and starts running away, and Zoro even yells over at him, like, what are you doing running away again? And then we cut to the last scene of the chapter, the last panel, which is a close-up of Gyukimaru, and he's there like, yeah, Lord Kawamatsu, I'm so glad you're okay. So it seems like the panel implies like he's talking directly to Kawamatsu, but he's running away. So I'm guessing what's happening is he's saying it to himself. Like he's running away from everybody after he gets shot, and he's like, oh, Lord Kawamatsu, I'm so glad you're okay. And then he starts running away. So, yeah, now he obviously knows him from the previous era with the 9 red scabbards and everything. He's probably not going to be Denjiro or anything, but, you know, he might have some weapons and stuff maybe from that era. You know, like, we know Kanjuro and Kinemon, they have all their swords that they always had, but maybe there's other weapons that the scabbards used and he has possession of them, or he's been keeping something else safe from, you know, Orochi and Kaido's crew since then, and now he's running to go get it because he seems like, oh, Kawamatsu, I'm really happy to see him. Okay, I'm gonna go get something and come back. That seems to be the implication here. Other than that, why would he just run away? It seems like he needs to get something. It might be a special sword. It might be like, oh, here's an idea. So maybe like you know, the shogun before Orochi, Sukiyaki, Odin's father. Maybe he had like a Saijo Owazamono sword, or maybe somewhere in Wano there was this ridiculously powerful sword or rare sword, and maybe Gyukimaru didn't want Orochi to get his mitts on it, so when it was looking like everything was falling apart, Gyukimaru stole the Saijo Owazamono blade and then hid it, and he was like waiting for the 9 red scabbards to return. This is probably a guy, he's a monk, he's probably very faithful to Toki's words of like prophecy, like they will return in 20 years. So maybe he's like, oh, I need to go back and retrieve that blade and present it to a 9 red scabbards member, you know, to show that I saved it. I prevented the Orochi from getting hands on it. So it might be something like that, but he might be running away to go do something else. I'm not really sure, but that seems to be the case at the end of the chapter there. Pretty good chapter, pretty good chapter. We don't get an all balls out brawl between Kaido and Big Mom, but we did cut over to see the fight is still going on. Like, you'd think after a while the fighting would just get boring, you know? You know, like they've been fighting all night. Like, how much do these two hate each other? There's something going on here. There's something else else that's like, it's kind of fishy, right? We're gonna cut back to them, and they're just like, the fighting, the rumbling finally stops, and all the beast pirates are like, is it over? And then you just cut up to the freaking bedroom, and it's just completely destroyed, and Big Mom and Kaido are just laying right next to each other, like, damn it, Lin, you still got it. It's like, you do too, you old coot. It's like, all right, well, let's get going then. I guess we have to pretend to hate each other from now on. I do hate you. Okay. So, yeah, all right. That's the same joke I did last time. But, you know, it's still funny, right? Just because it's very uncomfortable. Okay. Well, you know, next chapter, we're maybe going to find out exactly what the rebellion has to work with. Kinemon's going to do a head count of everybody. Yukimaru's going to present all of the weapons that he's saved up over the years. And it's like, that's how they're going to outfit the rebellion. So everything seems to be going pretty smooth right now. Luffy's, you know, cured up and everything. They have the prison under their control. They have the docks. They have the ships to work with. So, yeah, I mean, Frankie's going to have to get involved at some point to fix all those ships up, but that's not going to be an issue. So, yeah, good chapter. We'll see where this goes from here. Now, the big question here is, Barry, you know, your contract's up, buddy. 3 videos. That's what I promised, and that's what I delivered. So, I don't know if we're gonna renew his contract. So, you know what? I'm a fair guy. I'll leave the decision up to you. If Barry deserves to continue to be the mascot of this channel, if I should extend his contract. So, up here, you'll find a poll, or maybe it's up here. I don't know exactly how YouTube's going to do this, but in the corner, you should see a card pop up for a poll to see whether or not, you know, Barry should stick around. So your fate is in the hands of the fans now, Barry. That means I don't have to worry about it. Okay, well, hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Sorry for the late chapter, but that's how it goes. Tekking101 and Barry signing out. Okay, don't steal my spotlight there. I'm the one that signs out. Okay, all right.